What if I told you that you don't need to make massive changes to transform your life? That just a 1% improvement every day can compound into something extraordinary. It sounds almost too simple, doesn't it? But think about it. If you get just a tiny bit better each day, those small gains accumulate over time, leading to remarkable results. It's like the power of compound interest, but for your personal development. This isn't about overnight success or grand gestures. It's about the consistent application of small, manageable steps that gradually reshape who you are and what you can achieve. This subtle yet powerful approach is the key to unlocking lasting change, and it's more achievable than you might think. This is the central idea behind Atomic Habits by James Clear, a book that has helped millions break bad habits, build good ones, and live better lives. Clear argues that we often overestimate the importance of big, defining moments and underestimate the value of making small improvements on a daily basis. He provides a practical framework, not just theory, for understanding how habits work and how we can design them to work for us, rather than against us. The beauty of his approach lies in its simplicity and its focus on systems rather than just goals. It's about building a foundation of positive behaviors that naturally lead to the outcomes we desire, making success an almost inevitable byproduct of who we become through our consistent actions. In this video, we're going to break down the key ideas of Atomic Habits, specifically the 4 laws of behavior change, in a way you can understand and apply today without fluff. We'll explore each law with practical examples and actionable strategies, so you can start implementing these principles immediately. My goal is to distill the essence of this transformative book and give you the tools you need to make meaningful changes. So if you're ready to stop struggling with your habits and start building a better life, one small step at a time, you're in the right place. Let's begin. Alright, let's dive into the first law of behavior change from Atomic Habits: make it obvious. This law is all about the cue, the trigger that initiates any habit. James Clear explains that many of our daily habits are so deeply ingrained that the cues prompting them are almost invisible to our conscious minds. We perform these actions on autopilot, often without even realizing what set them in motion. To effectively build a new good habit or to dismantle a bad one, the very first step is to bring awareness to these triggers. Take a moment to think about your own daily routine. What specific cues prompt your current habits, both the ones you're proud of and the ones you'd like to change? For instance, the familiar sound of your morning alarm might be the cue to immediately check your phone, or the act of finishing dinner might be the cue to switch on the TV and settle in for the evening. Understanding these existing behavioral pathways is absolutely foundational to redesigning them for your benefit. So how do we practically make the cues for our desired habits more obvious and visible in our daily lives? One incredibly powerful technique that James Clear introduces is something he calls habit stacking. This isn't about attempting to multitask, which often leads to diminished focus, but rather about strategically linking a new habit you want to cultivate with an existing one that you already perform consistently. The formula he proposes is wonderfully simple: after current habit, I will new habit. For example, you could implement this by saying, after I pour my morning cup of coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute. Or another example could be, after I take off my work shoes upon returning home, I will immediately change into my workout clothes. This method cleverly leverages the momentum of an already established routine, making it significantly easier for the new habit to take root because the cue, the existing habit, is already firmly in place and, by its very nature, highly obvious. It's like giving your new habit a designated, pre-existing slot in your day, removing the guesswork of when to do it. Another crucial aspect of making cues obvious, and one that I find particularly effective, is environment design. Our physical and digital surroundings play an immensely significant role in shaping our behavior, often far more than we consciously realize or give them credit for. If you genuinely want to make a new habit a substantial and consistent part of your life, then you need to ensure that the cue for that habit is a prominent and unmissable feature of your environment. For instance, if your goal is to read more books, try placing a compelling book directly on your pillow each morning. If you aim to increase your water intake, keep a filled water bottle on your desk, in plain sight, at all times. If you're aspiring to practice the guitar more regularly, don't tuck it away in a closet. Instead, leave it on a stand in your living room where you'll see it frequently. By consciously altering your space, you effectively make the cues for good habits practically unavoidable, while simultaneously making the cues for bad habits less visible or accessible. It's about becoming the architect of your environment to support your desired behaviors. Conversely, if your objective is to break a persistent bad habit, the core strategy here is to make the cue for that habit as invisible or inaccessible as possible. Consider this. If you find yourself mindlessly eating snacks while watching television in the evenings, a simple environmental change would be to remove all snacks from the living room. If you feel you're wasting an excessive amount of time on social media apps, try removing those apps from your phone's home screen, or perhaps even deleting them entirely for a set period. The less exposure you have to the specific cue that triggers the unwanted behavior, the less likely you are to engage in it. This isn't solely about relying on sheer willpower, which can be a finite resource. It's about strategically and proactively reducing the environmental triggers that lead you down paths you'd rather avoid. This deliberate management of your surroundings can make a truly massive difference in overcoming those pesky bad habits that often seem so stubbornly difficult to shake off. Finally, James Clear also places great emphasis on the importance of being incredibly specific about precisely when and where you intend to perform a new habit. This proactive planning technique is called an implementation intention. Instead of setting a vague and easily deferrable goal like, I want to exercise more often, you would create a concrete plan such as, I will exercise for 30 minutes on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 p.m. in my living room. This level of clarity effectively transforms a nebulous wish into a clearly defined, actionable plan. By explicitly defining the time and location for your habit, you are essentially creating a very obvious and potent cue for yourself. You're no longer passively waiting for a wave of motivation to strike. You've pre-decided and committed to the action. This simple yet profound act of detailed planning significantly increases the likelihood that you'll follow through with the habit, making the initiation of the behavior feel almost automatic and less reliant on in-the-moment decision-making. Now we move seamlessly to the second law of behavior change: make it attractive. This particular law directly addresses the craving component of the four-stage habit loop. Habits, at their very core, are essentially dopamine-driven feedback mechanisms. The more inherently attractive or appealing an action is perceived to be, the more likely we are to develop a strong craving for it, and consequently, the more likely we are to repeat that action in the future. Think for a moment about the activities or substances you're naturally drawn to. They usually offer some immediate form of pleasure, relief, or satisfaction. James Clear compellingly suggests that we can consciously engineer this element of attractiveness into the very fabric of the habits we aspire to build. It's not merely about the eventual reward at the end of the process. It's about making the engagement in the habit itself more appealing and desirable, which in turn fuels our motivation to initiate the behavior and creates that essential, driving desire. One incredibly powerful and practical strategy to make a habit significantly more attractive is a technique Clear calls temptation bundling. This clever method involves pairing an action that you want to do, something enjoyable, with an action that you need to do, a habit you're trying to establish or one that feels less appealing. For instance, you might decide, I will only allow myself to listen to my favorite engaging podcast while I'm exercising on the treadmill. Or, another common example could be, I will only watch the next episode of my favorite Netflix show while I'm doing somewhat tedious household chores like folding laundry or ironing. By strategically linking something you genuinely enjoy with a habit you're trying to build, or one that's inherently less appealing on its own, you effectively transfer some of that positive anticipation and enjoyment over to the less desirable task. The eager anticipation of the want activity can make the need activity feel less like a burdensome chore and more like a welcome opportunity. This integration makes the overall experience far more attractive and, crucially, more sustainable in the long run. Another key aspect that contributes to the attractiveness of a habit is the profound influence of our social environment. We are, by nature, social creatures, and we are heavily influenced, often subconsciously, by the prevailing norms and behaviors of the groups we belong to or identify with. We tend to naturally adopt habits that are praised, approved of, and commonly practiced by our culture, our close friends, and our family members. Therefore, to make a desired habit more attractive to yourself, it's highly beneficial to consciously surround yourself with people for whom that desired behavior is already the established norm. If your goal is to read more books, consider joining a local or online book club. If you're aiming to improve your physical fitness, Think about joining a running group, a sports team, or a gym where people are genuinely enthusiastic and committed to fitness. When you consistently observe others successfully engaging in and visibly enjoying a particular habit, it makes that habit seem more achievable, more normal, and ultimately more desirable for you too. Their behavior effectively normalizes and validates your own efforts, providing social proof. Clear also highlights the importance of reframing your mindset and the language you use when thinking about your habits. The way we perceive a habit can significantly impact its perceived attractiveness. Instead of framing a task with negative or obligatory language like, "I have to go for a run now," try consciously shifting your perspective and your words to something more positive and empowering, such as, "I get to build my endurance and clear my mind with a run." This subtle but powerful shift in language from one of burdensome obligation to one of welcome opportunity can make a remarkable difference in your motivation. Always try to focus on the inherent benefits and positive outcomes of the habit rather than dwelling on any perceived drawbacks or effort involved. For example, instead of thinking saving money is a difficult sacrifice, reframe it as saving money is my path to achieving financial freedom and creating exciting future opportunities. This mental shift can transform a dreaded task into an empowering choice, thereby making the associated habit far more appealing and motivating to pursue with consistency and even enthusiasm. Finally, making a habit genuinely attractive involves a deeper understanding of the underlying motive or craving that the habit is attempting to satisfy. Every craving we experience, as Clear explains, is fundamentally linked to a desire to change our internal state in some way, to feel different. We don't just want to smoke a cigarette, we often crave the temporary relief from stress or anxiety it seems to provide. We don't just want to mindlessly browse social media feeds, we might be seeking a feeling of connection, a distraction from boredom, or a hit of novelty. By carefully identifying these deeper underlying motives, we can then proactively find healthier, more positive, and ultimately more fulfilling ways to satisfy them. For instance, if you tend to reach for junk food when you feel stressed, could a short, brisk walk outdoors or a few minutes of guided meditation provide a similar, or even better, sense of relief and calm? Making the alternative healthy habit truly attractive by ensuring it effectively fulfills that underlying need is absolutely crucial for achieving lasting, sustainable change. It's about aligning your daily habits with your true, core desires and values. Let's now progress to the third law of behavior change: make it easy. This law directly addresses the response element of the habit loop, that is, the actual act of performing the habit itself. It's a very common misconception that building new, positive habits requires an enormous amount of effort, unwavering discipline, or some kind of heroic willpower that only a select few possess. However, James Clear compellingly argues quite the opposite. The easier you can make a habit to perform, the more likely you are to actually do it consistently. Human beings are, by our very nature, wired to conserve energy whenever possible, so we almost instinctively gravitate towards the path of least resistance in most situations. If a new habit you're trying to adopt requires too much friction, complexity, or activation energy, especially in the crucial early stages of formation, we're highly likely to abandon it before it takes root. Therefore, the fundamental key here is to simplify your desired habits until they become almost effortless to initiate. One of the most effective and practical ways to make any habit easier is to consciously reduce friction. Take a moment to think about all the individual steps involved in performing your desired habit from the very beginning to the end, and then try to identify any potential obstacles, bottlenecks, or points of resistance along that path. Once you've identified them, find creative ways to eliminate or significantly minimize them. For example, if your goal is to go to the gym first thing in the morning, a simple, friction-reducing step would be to lay out your complete set of gym clothes, shoes, and water bottle the night before. If you're aiming to eat healthier meals throughout the week, dedicate some time on Sunday to prep your ingredients, perhaps by chopping vegetables or cooking grains so they're ready for quick assembly. If you want to establish a daily writing habit, configure your computer to automatically open your writing software and your current document as soon as it boots up. By proactively preparing in advance and streamlining the entire process, you make it incredibly simple to get started, which, as we all know, is often the most challenging part of any task. To further help in making habits easy to start, James Clear introduces a brilliantly simple yet highly effective technique called the 2-minute rule. The core principle is straightforward. When you are trying to start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to actually do the initial part of it. So a broad goal like read every day becomes a very specific and easy action like read 1 page. The ambition to do 30 minutes of yoga transforms into the simple first step of take out my yoga mat. The intention to study for my upcoming class breaks down into the manageable task of open my notes. The primary idea here isn't that you'll only do 2 minutes of the activity forever, but rather that you master the crucial art of showing up and starting. Initiating the behavior is the most critical step in habit formation. Once you've actually begun, it's often surprisingly easier to continue for longer. This rule helps to build vital momentum and makes the habit feel significantly less daunting or overwhelming, thereby ensuring you stay consistent, which is paramount. Another crucial aspect of making habits easy, and one that often gets overlooked, is the importance of focusing on repetition over perfection. Many of us, myself included at times, fall into the common trap of trying to perfect a new habit right from day one. We envision the ideal workout session, the perfectly serene meditation practice, or the flawlessly healthy and gourmet meal. However, particularly in the early stages of habit formation, the sheer quantity of repetitions actually trumps the perceived quality of each individual instance. It's far more important to show up and perform the habit consistently, even if it's imperfect or brief, than it is to aim for an idealized performance that you can't realistically sustain day after day. Each repetition, no matter how small, reinforces the neural pathways in your brain associated with that behavior, making the habit progressively more automatic and ingrained over time. Don't ever let the inhibiting pursuit of perfection prevent you from making tangible progress. Just do it, even if it's a small, imperfect step. Ultimately, making a habit easy is all about thoughtfully designing your actions and the environment surrounding those actions to be as frictionless and effortless as possible. It's about strategically engineering your routine so that doing the right thing becomes the easiest and most natural thing to do. This might involve leveraging technology to automate certain habits where feasible, such as setting up automatic bill payments to ensure financial responsibility, or subscribing to a healthy meal delivery service to simplify nutritious eating. It might also mean consciously modifying your environment to prime you for the desired action, reinforcing what we discussed earlier about making cues obvious. The less mental and physical energy it takes to perform a good habit, the more likely it is that this habit will stick and become a permanent part of your life. Remember, you don't always need more motivation or willpower. Often you just need a better, simpler, and easier system for taking consistent action. Finally, we arrive at the fourth and conclusive law of behavior change: make it satisfying. This law effectively completes the habit loop by intensely focusing on the reward aspect, the positive outcome or feeling that follows the behavior. For any habit to truly take hold and stick in the long term, it needs to be enjoyable in some way and provide a tangible form of satisfaction. Our brains are fundamentally wired to repeat behaviors that lead to positive, rewarding outcomes. If an experience is satisfying, we are naturally more inclined to want to do it again in the future. One of the inherent challenges with many good habits, such as exercising or learning a new skill, is that their most significant rewards are often delayed. You don't typically get fit after just one workout session, nor do you become fluent in a new language after only one lesson. Therefore, we need to find clever and effective ways to bring a sense of immediate satisfaction to these important long-term pursuits. One of the most effective strategies to make a habit immediately satisfying is to give yourself an immediate reward upon its completion. This doesn't necessarily mean indulging in something extravagant or something that might undermine the very habit you're trying to build. This could be as simple as verbally praising yourself with a well done, putting a satisfying checkmark or a gold star on a habit tracker, or allowing yourself a few minutes of a guilt-free, relaxing activity you enjoy immediately after completing the desired task. The absolute key here is that the reward must occur right after the behavior is completed. This immediate positive reinforcement strengthens the neural connection in your brain, making you associate the habit with pleasure and positive feelings, thus increasing the likelihood of repetition. James Clear is a strong advocate for the practice of habit tracking, and for very good reason. Visually tracking your progress provides immediate, tangible evidence that you're moving forward, which is incredibly satisfying and motivating. Whether your method involves marking a large X on a wall calendar for every day you successfully complete your habit, using a dedicated habit tracking app on your smartphone, or even a simple physical system like moving a paperclip from one jar to another, The act of seeing your streak grow is a powerful psychological motivator. This visual record creates a compelling cue of your ongoing commitment and often makes you want to continue the streak, to avoid breaking the chain. It's also absolutely crucial to adopt the mindset to never miss twice. Life is unpredictable, and everyone makes mistakes or has off days. It's inevitable that you might miss a day of your intended habit. The real key to long-term success is not to let that one missed day spiral into 2 missed days, then 3, and eventually lead to the complete abandonment of the habit altogether. Perfection is not the goal here. Consistent effort is. If you do happen to miss a day, your primary focus should be on getting right back on track with the very next available opportunity. This resilient mindset prevents the detrimental all-or-nothing thinking that can so easily derail progress and make you feel like a failure. Ultimately, the deepest and most lasting satisfaction derived from a habit should align with your evolving identity. The most powerful rewards are often intrinsic, that deep feeling of satisfaction that comes from becoming the type of person you aspire to be. When you consistently perform a particular habit, you are, in essence, casting votes for the kind of person you wish to become. Eating healthy meals consistently isn't just about managing weight, it's about embodying the identity of a healthy person. Writing every single day isn't just about eventually finishing a book, it's about becoming a writer in your core being. This identity-based satisfaction is far more potent and enduring than any fleeting external reward. So, remember to celebrate the small wins along the way, diligently track your progress, get back on track quickly after any stumbles, and most importantly, focus on the profound satisfaction of becoming the person you truly aspire to be through your consistent daily actions. So there you have it, the 4 laws of behavior. Change from James Clear's Atomic Habits, make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. I really hope this breakdown has given you a clear understanding of how you can start architecting better habits. Remember, building these positive changes into your life isn't about making radical, overwhelming transformations overnight. It's all about those consistent, seemingly small, 1% improvements that compound powerfully over time. You don't need to be perfect from day 1 or even day 50, just focus on being consistent, because true, lasting success isn't about relying on fleeting motivation that comes and goes like the weather. It's about the robust systems and ingrained habits you build. And now, you have a clear, actionable framework to help you build them effectively and sustainably, transforming your life one small, deliberate step at a time. The power to genuinely change your life truly lies in these small atomic habits. By consciously focusing on the cues that trigger your behaviors, the cravings that drive them, the responses you enact, and the rewards that reinforce them, you can systematically design habits that stick, and just as importantly, dismantle the ones that are currently holding you back from your potential. Take a moment right now to think about one small change you can implement today using these principles. What's one new habit you're inspired to start building, or perhaps one unhelpful bad habit you're now ready to tackle with a new strategy? If you found this detailed breakdown of atomic habits genuinely helpful, and if it sparked some practical ideas for you, please make sure to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel for more animated book summaries and practical guides like this, and don't forget to hit that notification bell icon so you don't miss out on any future content designed to help you grow. We'd absolutely love to hear from you and create a supportive community around these ideas. Please let us know in the comments section below what habit you're planning on starting today, or perhaps, which of the 4 laws resonated most deeply with you and why. Sharing your goals and insights can be a fantastic way to increase your commitment and inspire others too. Thank you so much for watching and for investing this valuable time in your own personal growth and development. Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles always begins with a single step, or in this case, a single well-designed atomic habit. Until next time, keep growing, one tiny habit at a time.